Hello, my name is Mike. This is a bike. This is my Zero all-electric off-road motorcycle. This is an obsolete model that was discontinued about 15 minutes after it was brought out. It's a 2006 Zero. It's called a Drift. You'll notice there's no battery. And that's because the batteries are obsolete. They're no longer available. I've written to the company. They pretty much just laugh at me and say, why are you wasting your time on that piece of crap? So the only way to make this thing go again is to buy some batteries from, eBay and, modify them to make them work. But that costs money. I'm kind of reluctant to spend a lot of money on some unknown batteries, just kind of hoping I'll be able to make them work on this electric bike. So that's why it's been sitting. It'd be several $100s that I don't have. I'm on a fixed income nowadays. I'm officially retired. I don't know why they call it a fixed income. Probably because it's so bad, it needs to be fixed. It's the only thing I can think of. And then with the holidays coming up, well, my out-of-pocket expenses are, buying gifts, all the usual stuff to prepare for Christmas coming up. So that means, well, once again, I'm broke. A cheapskate who's also broke? Oh, that's not a good combination. So here's what I did. I did this. I went out and spent money I didn't have on another project. Yeah, I have what we call ADAD. Attention Deficit Automotive Disorder. And, I get that paycheck and I look at my bills and, I'm going to focus on paying this credit card down and I'm going to take care of this expense. And then all of a sudden someone says, cheap car. I'm all over it. Anyway, in this episode, we'll try to get this unloaded off the trailer. No, it doesn't go. Motor starts. The exterior is in good shape. The interior is in good shape. It's got a blown transmission. So we're going to have to get it off the trailer and get it in the work bay and see if we can figure out what's wrong with this car. Because, it'd be a nice car. And the price was, well, I'm a cheapskate. So stick around.
Somewhere in a dusty, dirty back alley in western Arizona, not far from historic Route 66, is an old fart trying to cram a square peg into a round hole. He'll work on anything, just as long as it's got at least 2 cool wheels.
Let's take a closer look at this fine unit. This is a 1993 Buick Century. This is the station wagon flavored, complete with the high reception antenna. Sent that egg on purpose. For once, I didn't have to jump through hoops. I didn't have to go to the highway patrol and go to special, get a, what do we call a bonded title here in Arizona, all that for missing paperwork, I actually have the title. I have the license, or the temporary license for it, because the lady who sold it was kind enough to go to DMV with me and help me transfer it into my name. So that part of it's good. And it's a little filthy, but you can see the paint is actually in very good condition. Surprisingly good condition. Somebody's done the tinty thing on the windows. Got a little damage there. I think I can probably find that molding somewhere. And then the interior, well, it's in really good shape. No tears or rips in the seats. They're in good condition. Front and back. Let me see if I can open this. It's got the power gizmos and the what's-its. It even has a nice headliner. This car is way too nice for me. Well, it will be when I'm done with it. I'll probably end up selling it like I usually do. One of the things you may have noticed is that it's got, well, I believe those are Dodge hubcaps. Those obviously are not the original hubcaps. Not real sure why. But they wanted to make sure the car could go fast, so they put a Mazda wheel on this side just to make sure that it would go fast as a Mazda. And if we look at the roof, we see it's got these fancy chrome doohickeys. That means it's supposed to have a roof rack on it. And you'll notice there's these ventilation ducts here in the ceiling. That's so it doesn't get too hot inside on a hot summer day, being a dark color. No, that's where the roof rack is supposed to be. There's supposed to be some rubber, what we call well nuts here, and there's brackets, and that's all gone. So I'm going to have to try to find those too. Those aren't going to be easy to come up with. I might get lucky and find one at a salvage yard. So that's on my list. I'm going to hit the local salvage yards tomorrow, see what they might have. The other problem with it is, well, somebody vandalized the taillights and the backup lights. So I'm going to have to hunt those down. And then somebody was doing some weird stuff with spray paint cans. They were shooting black stuff everywhere. It's like the tinted glass wasn't tinted enough, so they wanted to rattle can it. I don't know what that's about. I saw it in several locations. I saw it over here on the emblem even. Well, here's the Century emblem, and it's got the rattle can look. Hopefully that'll come off. It's not terrible. Now, once upon a time, hundreds and hundreds of millions of years ago, in another life, I used to be an automobile mechanic. And I actually worked for Buick dealerships in the mid-90s. Cars like this would come into my work bay all the time. Not only that, but although I started off doing electrical repairs and what we call 15A work, I eventually moved into the transmission department, and I became the transmission technician at the Buick dealership I was working at. So I'm extremely familiar with this transmission. But there's only one problem. That was 30 years ago. I can't even hardly remember my name sometimes. This is a 4T60E. I remember that. That's about it. Now, I've gotten pretty proficient at these, and some of the repairs on these particular transmissions could actually be made without removing the transmission from the car completely. You could actually tilt one side of the engine cradle down, and you could remove the valve body and the drive sprockets, and you could get to the drivetrain components. You could get to the planetary gear sets and the clutch packs and all the things that have been known to fail on these. And that's hopefully what I'm going to be doing here. But like I said, I don't remember the torque specs or the torque sequence or any of that really critically important stuff. So before I can really do much of anything on this car other than, wash the dirt off of it, is to go ahead and get the proper service manual. So I've got those specs. And there's also a couple of key special tools that I do not have that, of course, were dealership-owned tools that I used at the time. So I need to get those numbers, see if I can find them online. And you might ask, well, why don't I just get a rebuilt transmission? Come on, guys. You know me better than that. I'm a cheapskate. I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a rebuilt transmission or $600 on a used transmission on a car I only paid $300 for. Nope. We're going to tear into that transmission. We'll probably pay $60, $80, $100 for a gasket and seal kit, and then whatever components have failed. Now, the fact that it's kind of slipping and stuff, I know that there was a sun shell that was known to break in these. It's pretty easy to replace. Well, not pretty easy, but it's a fairly common thing. Might have a bad clutch pack. I won't know until I dig into it. I smelled the fluid. Didn't smell particularly burnt. It smelled worn, but it didn't smell hot, like the clutches have been slipping for a long time. This leads me to believe it's probably that sun shell that has been known to break on these. Anyway, I'm not going to know until I tear into it, so that's going to have to be another episode. Yeah, it's kind of a short episode. Just wanted to prime you guys for the next episode that we're going to be doing here. When that manual gets here, I'll get some stuff ordered and on its way, and I'll try to hunt down the lenses, and it's missing a roof rack and, you know, some other stuff. And, you know, this would be a nice, like Derek Beery says, going to town rig. It definitely would be. So, thanks for watching. Come on back for the next episode. Just so you know, I'm not insane. I'm doing a video.
I figured.
I did this.